Hey guys, this is Billy Davidson with Davidson Pressure Washing and Painting out of Hammond, Louisiana. Tonight we actually working here in Hammond, Louisiana. It is late November 2018. It is a very chilly night. The wind is coming straight out of the north, which is in this direction, probably at about 12 knots, maybe 13, 14 miles per hour. It's been really getting it. Tonight, let me see if I can see my clock. We at 2:16 a.m. So we're in the middle of the night, probably almost at the coldest point of tonight, but we still got a couple more hours left. We have been doing some flat work at a dealership here, and we have done tens of thousands of square feet over the last few days. Tonight we've done probably somewhere in the order of about 35,000 square feet. And that brings me to a point, once you do all your surface cleaning and your trim work, you have to rinse all this mess off. And usually you're gonna probably have to chase it all the way to a drain or to a low point and then try to get it off the parking lot, obviously, because if you let it dry, it's definitely a mess. So in this case, the drainage is not all that good. I got probably about 40,000 square feet of concrete draining to this one gully point, and it is it doesn't have quite the grade that I would like on it, but all the way back from that building there, which I don't know if you can tell in the video, that's probably about 75 feet from me, all the way to this way, probably another 300 feet, is two drains pretty much adjacent to each other. So basically what we're doing, we rinsing from high to low, and once you find your low point, sort of kind of get it sandwiched in there and then chase it out, which takes a lot of time. Sometimes you're looking at about half the time that it took you to surface clean it, you're going to be rinsing. So if you got 5 or 6 hours in surface cleaning, you're probably going to have 2 or 3 hours in rinsing sometimes not quite that much, depending on your drain points and the flow and the severity of the area that you're washing. This has happened to have been really bad because they have a gravel parking lot right here next to us. When it rains heavily, I'm sure this drains right into this point. So a couple tricks I have found rinsing, and let me say proper rinsing techniques is what makes or breaks a power washing business. If you do not have your rinsing techniques down to a science, you will fail. You can do everything properly, but not rinse properly, and they're just not going to be happy with it. So I've always emphasized with any of my guys that's out there rinsing, that always from high to low, do the flat parts first, and then come back and rinse any structures that you may have splattered on. Like we've had a couple cars out here, some poles, buildings, that stuff sometimes get thrown up in the air, and the wind to carry it to a place that you're not even working in. Sometimes 100 feet away, they want to carry some of that sand, that fine dust, and things like that. So in this case, what we do, we have 2 power washers running, and they are joined together with a Sinese kit. So it's 2 8-gallon per minute power washers joined together with no gun. So it's just an open hose. So we measured in a drum is putting out about 20 gallons per minute. So that is definitely a very good tool for rinsing. We've actually found that it's better to have them joined together than 2 separate power washers, just because if you're moving heavy material, that 20 gallons a minute is much more effective than trying to, with 2 people working in 2 separate areas trying to rinse. So once we get all this this drained, all this sludge and stuff to drain out of the parking lot, then at that point we'll go back and rinse all the little structures. Like this wall has got splatter on it, The little car wash at this dealership's got splatter on it, and some of the cars that they could not get moved, which is probably about 8 or 9 of them that's going to have to be rinsed. And the way we rinse that, if you go and rinse this car with a pressure tip, a green tip, a white tip, it's not going to look all it. I mean, it'll look great, but it's not going to be perfectly clean. You'll still have that fine dust on it. So what we'll have to do is, without a pressure tip, maybe with a J-rod or a rinse nozzle, black tip, go back and rinse anything like cars and sides of walls and poles. And you got to look in all areas. I'll show you on this pole right here some spots that you really wouldn't think to rinse. Obviously, you know you're going to rinse the base off if you surface clean it around it. The base is dirty. But just an example, my hand is, let's see, that's probably about 6.5 feet. It's gritty up here. So if we splattered this far at least, that's probably about 7 feet. That's gritty. So you probably gonna need to rinse some of these poles, even though we surface cleaning way down here. You probably need to go 12 feet high. And you know, the worst thing you want to do is leave something like that where the parking lot owners come out to inspect things. And look, some of these guys are really good, man. They got their eyes wide open, you know, before they want to pay. They're gonna make sure everything is done perfectly. And we have, you know, I had to come back and rinse some poles. You wouldn't think it would splatter that high, but it sure will. On this side, I don't know if the camera's picking it up right there, but that's pretty gritty right there, and I'm standing on my tippy toes. So make sure you do a very good rinsing job. Low pressure when it comes to stuff like this. Cars nearby, walls, windows is another biggie. If you use a pressure tip on it, yeah, it'll look good, but man, if you go back and touch it, it'll be really gritty. What I tell my guys, when you think it's rinsed and you think it's clean, touch it. If you're not touching it, you can't be 100% positive that you actually got it rinsed properly. And that comes into play more with things that are a very fine finish on it, that are smooth, like cars, hoods, glass, metal poles, things like that. You definitely want to use low pressure to rinse it and then touch it. And like always, you know, rinsing makes or breaks you. You know, that's what separates, you know, the professionals from the guys that are just out there trying to do it and learn. But you know, instead of having some hard lessons to learn, you know, learn from people who's already made those mistakes. You know, like I said, you can come out here and have everything absolutely perfect, and the guys that cut you your check come around here touching and feeling and looking and find that there's sand and grit on poles and cars and windows. You're gonna have to make another trip out, and you know what that involves, man. Once you think you're done, then you got to pack everything up and come back out here for a few more hours. That sucks. So try to get it done right the first time. But anyway, I hope these rinsing tips help somebody out there. Maybe keep y'all from making some mistakes we made very early on, 20 some odd years ago. And if there's anything I can help y'all with, my number is 985-345-0778, and I'll talk to y'all later.